This computer. Now it's going. So we have, I think staff are outnumbering board members right now.
Yeah.
All right, so Joe, I'm making potato soup right now, so
Okay.
you only have about half of my attention. Just kidding.
That's okay.
I mean, I can scrape out the potatoes while we were getting on the pre-game here.
Yeah, why not? Just take it easy, do your thing. So what happens if we don't have a quorum?
You just do whatever you want.
Well, it's just a study session, right? We don't have any votes to.
We don't have to make any decisions, huh?
You don't have to
Can I weigh in here for a second?
do it.
The Zoom instructions URL for the Zoom meeting is different from the Zoom URL at the top of the agenda. And I just kind of tried the second one on the Zoom instructions and got on. So with that, I'll go back to mute.
Chris, what is the difference between, so you're talking about the differences between the agenda, the first page, and then the Zoom instructions?
Yeah, at least I got to two different places. The second one got me to this current Zoom meeting, but the one at the top of the agenda on the first page did not. And I don't know if there's I didn't look very carefully at the numbers or something, but.
They're identical.
Are they?
Yeah, I mean, this is an intriguing problem because it's not the first time it's happened. There's something about, but they match, I think. I'll share the screen and maybe you can show me if it's, okay. So this is what I have in the agenda.
Right,
Okay, and then this is the Zoom instructions.
right.
So they're identical.
Are they?
Mm-hmm. So are you clicking on them and that's what's not working?
Yeah, I did actually.
So that's what happened last time. The number was right, but when a person tried to click on it, it didn't work. So
Put in passwords. Just put in the number.
I think the problem might be with the form. If we're doing, so if we're using this, literally like clicking on this PDF, on that link, there's something wrong with that. So I don't know what we're going to do about that. That's not.
I don't know anything about technology, so I'm quiet.
I thank you for pointing it out.
If you go to zoom.us and then just put in the meeting ID, it works.
Okay.
So
All right.
that.
Okay. No, that's what we should do. Okay.
I mean, if the link isn't working for some reason.
But this was happening to people last week too, not for this meeting, but a different one, and I could not figure it out. And it happened last week.
Last month.
Last month, you're right. It happened for you all last month. So anyway, I'm sorry. Okay, we got a bunch more people.
Yeah, we're here.
I think that means there's too many Zoom meetings. I think that's
I
what
know.
that means.
Our brains are zoomed out.
I like it. Well, if you are ready, I believe you have a quorum now, and also it's 5:46. I want to announce, for the sake of compliance with the Open Meetings Act, that I am in the Lyle Shields room of Brookins Administrative Building, our regular meeting room, and it's very nice here. So, I'm alone, so I don't have to wear my mask quite yet, but I'm really happy to be here.
So you might just be there all day, all night.
Sure.
That'll be fine. Okay, so call to order. We get started. So the roll call. Lena, are you in charge of a roll call today?
Stephanie, you're muted.
Oh,
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
yeah, no problem.
Okay. Susan Fowler, Tom Moore,
here,
Elaine Palencia,
Here,
Kyle Patterson, Julian Rappaport, Julian,
Here.
Jane Sprandel,
Here.
Kathleen Worth Couch, John Paul Joachim, Joe Omo Osagie.
Here. Okay. So, I mean, we have the Zoom instructions. That's why we're here. So let's keep that. Public participation. Anybody have anything to add or comment?
Joe, I might ask, there is a person who called in and they won't be able to sign in the chat. So I would like to interrupt just to ask who it is. At
Oh, okay.
840-0859. Maybe they didn't hear me. Okay.
They're on mute.
they're muted, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Pat Eggy. Pat
Oh,
Eggy
hey,
from
Pat.
Cunningham. Hi.
Thank you.
Must be a Cunningham reunion day or something, huh? So any public comments, particular citizen input? If not, we can move to approve the agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
I will second it.
Okay.
Got to do a roll call.
Oh, we got to do a roll call again. Okay. Stephanie, please.
Stephanie doesn't want to talk to us tonight.
I know. I think she muted herself again.
She must be doing the silent roll call.
So we're here.
Stephanie, do you want me to do it? Yes?
Okay.
Okay, Jane Sprandel,
Yes.
Elaine Palencia,
yes.
Tom Moore,
Yes,
Julian Rappaport.
I forgot what we were voting on.
This is approval of the agenda.
Oh,
Just the agenda.
yes, yes.
And Joe Omosagie.
Yes. Okay. I really don't have any comments today. I mean, we're here. And we'll hopefully the next few days will go well, and the next few months will be great. That's about it. Just hoping for the best. So, start the session. We do the Champaign County Community Coalition Summer Youth Initiative presentation. Sam and Tracy, go for it.
Tracy, do you want me to operate the presentation?
Yes, please.
You don't want to mess with the technology?
I'm so proud of my new skills. Thank you for letting me show them off. All right. There we go.
And Sam, you want to kick us off and then I'll jump in?
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. We appreciate the opportunity just to provide an update of the activities provided this summer with the Community Coalition Summer Initiative. Gosh, how many years, Tracy? This might be maybe the 5th or 6th year of this initiative, which started as an effort to really bring a number of partners in the community together to kind of, in a more non-traditional way, I guess would be a good way to say it, connect with youth in the community, particularly with activities and services to help address some of the violence issues, some of the issues related to youth not having positive activities to be involved with, engage with, as well as community activities that kind of led to some of the discussions that need to take place with respect to how we can come together and how we can just work together collectively, particularly on some of the issues that our community's been facing over the years. This effort has been particularly focused on youth at risk and youth in our neighborhoods and areas that have traditionally also been left out. And so as a result, the Community Coalition has been a key catalyst for connecting with the partners that are involved and being a part of sourcing the kind of activities that are most needed. So one of the things that was needed in an effort like this that's a bit unique is coordination and facilitating the administrative needs that are required with the Mental Health Board and working with Mental Health Board staff. And that's where Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club role has been with being the partner that really has kind of served to facilitate the overall program application process and working with the Mental Health Board staff to make sure that is taken care of properly or correctly. We've also been the coordinator of the budgeting process, the financial process that's needed and required to account for with the Mental Health Board, and also been there to facilitate the overall collection of the program data from the activities and services provided, collecting that for the reporting that is also done at the completion of the summer initiative work. So that has been the Boys and Girls Club role, and kind of why I report with Tracy at the end of the summer on what has taken place. This summer, I think, as you guys know, has been one of those years, has been pretty unique with respect to all that's been of how all of our work across the county has been impacted by COVID. And when it came to the start of what was going to happen with the initiative effort, that was one of the first things we did in terms of Tracy, in particular, working with the coalition on how can we continue this effort, but do it in a way that was conducive for carrying out the work and the mission, but doing it in a safe way and in a manner that was going to be appropriate given the situations. And that was a key conversation that we had with all of the potential partners at the start. So once again, we pulled together the partners to talk about that aspect of this summer, and took considerable time talking individually, mainly because of COVID, with each of the partners as to how can you individually with your program services, either remotely, virtually, or a combination thereof, which, as you can see when Tracy shares some of the activities, is how things took place. What would be the plan to do that? And so as we collected the program plans, which are required for each program partner. That was addressed with all of the partners who came together. The grant, the Mental Health Board, and with your support, provided $107,000 that went to 11 different organizations on the ground, close to particularly the youth and community engagement efforts that took place. And each of the subcontractors, as I have alluded to, submitted proposals for their programs. As far as the getting started and the role of the administrative agent role that the club plays, we did convene the subcontractors. Generally, we're able to bring everyone kind of together, but this year that was done much more on an individual basis. Tracy spends a lot of times, in particular, through the community coalition representation, really talking with and sourcing the partners who present their proposals. And then really he and I sit down and kind of look through those program plans and talk back and forth with the organizations that are involved on some of the specifics to be carried out, and particularly from a program standpoint and budget standpoint. Again, as you can see, in terms of the process, I've kind of alluded to the other areas over the course of the summer that are given attention to the budget monitoring and facilitating, which is done through the Boys and Girls Club, and also the data collection and program data at the end is pulled together, which helps with providing the report that we're presenting to you this evening. So that kind of gives an overview on how we get started and how the initiative is run throughout the summer. And I will turn it over to Tracy from here.
Thanks, Sam. And so, Lynn, you and I are going to coordinate this presentation a little better than you and Sam did, as far as keeping up with the slides while the talking is going on. So
I probably talk too fast. I think
no, it was good. I'm just giving both of you a hard time as we're on this Zoom meeting and full of Zoom meetings each day, as you guys were talking about as we came on. So let me say thank you so much to the Mental Health Board again for your support of the Community Coalition and our partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. Sam has been phenomenal, and I am so happy for him, but also really just anxious about what's next with the club, because he just is a phenomenal leader for the club, and working with him is really a pleasure. And I just want to acknowledge that to all of you. His leadership at the club is really stellar, and so congratulations on his ability to be able to retire. This year has, as Sam shared, has been like no other. And I've been working from home since March, as I know many of you are working from home. Not you retired folks, but those of us that are still working, balancing between home and offices. I've been home since March, and there really is nothing that prepares you to have to adjust and adapt midstream as we've had to do this year. And so initially it was simple due to COVID, and reacting and responding to that as an issue for all of us. And then obviously in the spring, the George Floyd incident in Minneapolis took all of this work to a whole nother level as it related to intense social activity throughout the community, as well as the strain and stress that it put on all of us as organizations to have to address some issues that we've been talking about for a number of years. And so how to do this work this year really challenged us in a new and different way. I will say to you again, our Boys and Girls Club is phenomenal under Sam's leadership. So when you start talking about conducting and doing programming in community, especially with the youth that Sam indicated to you, we were not prepared, you know. And so when you talk about kids that struggle with structure, a lot of them, and then to go to have to do work and support and engagement all virtually, this was a training, learning, initial nightmare. But I think as a community, like we've done many times, we've responded extremely well. And so the club was really the first organization to jump out there and start trying to do engagement activities with youth. And so we learned through those early weeks that you had to have someone in the meetings with the young people. We couldn't leave them to themselves because they would still do youth things. And so we just really learned a lot. And again, the club was the model and the organization that we all were looking at and learning from as we went into this year. So as the summer went on, we were able to start doing some more in-person activity, but for the most part, everything has been done virtually this summer. And so that's obviously had an impact on our ability to work with young people and their families in the community. We still this year looked at arts and culture, recreation, academic enrichment, leadership, and community engagement as the priority areas for working with young people this summer. Next slide, please, Lynn. And so here, when you start talking about, again, COVID, you know, we had to practice safety and health and meet criteria for participation. So as you see, people are wearing masks. That's been one of those, areas where we've had to work with all of our partners to ensure safety was in the forefront of our work with the young people. Next slide, please. So again, you get a chance to see some of the partners and the work that they were doing virtually. This example here is Reverend Comer did some wonderful things with young people in the spring and through the summer. And so he put a recording studio in his building, and kids were coming in and practicing messaging around COVID, as well as practicing their skills and getting themselves recorded. The other thing he did for his midnight basketball this year that was a little bit out of my league, which was to do gaming basketball. So the kid, he had as many as 120, 130 kids all playing basketball games on Friday nights. Since they couldn't be in the gyms and the Park District facilities were closed, they did all of that virtually and online. And so it was, again, a tremendous example of adaptability, being creative in ways to engage young people. Next slide, please. So again, our numbers were lower this year, I think, which as you could anticipate, but we still were able to get over 500 youth in our different initiatives and projects. Our employment and training work this year were not on the job training activities. They were all also done virtually. Kids did research on jobs and careers. And so we were able to adapt through the schools with our employment and training work. And so we were able to do some creative work around STEM. And Dr. William Patterson, who's done programming with young people over the last couple of years, now has what's called the Hip Hop Express, which is a mobile technical unit where kids are able to do recording. They were able to do virtual games. They were able to do all their engagement activities on the Hip Hop Express. So again, he's doing phenomenal work out in the forefront of engagement, all done virtually through the university, through our community, and we were able to support that work this year. For the first time, we had one of our partners doing financial literacy for kids. So teaching them about the importance of financial literacy, the basics from, checking accounts, savings accounts, but also teaching about stocks and investment and stuff. I shouldn't say and stuff, but just financial literacy activities. We were continuing to do leadership related activities for our youth. And then we were, as the summer started moving along, we were able to start doing some small group work. Again, as the state orders that we've been operating on, first it was no groups larger than 10. And then as we went into phase 4, we could do groups no larger than 50, but no one had any groups close to that size. So I just wanted to share, we have this in your packet so you get a chance to see in more detail than what we're sharing with you today. Next slide, please, Lynn. So again, this is Dr. Patterson again, as we were able to start meeting with young people, doing some engagement activity. The other thing that really played a lot in our work with young people is this has been a very traumatic time. And I think our youth have been phenomenal with the adjustments that they went through with their school year being disrupted and ending the way that it did. Kids didn't get to go to prom. They didn't get to go to a lot of their senior activities. Kids that were graduating didn't get ready to get to have graduation ceremonies in the traditional way. And so this has just been an unbelievably trying and difficult time. And so our work around trauma and getting young people to understand, but also all of us have been going through a great deal of trauma as it's related to COVID. Again, all of the different pandemics that are going on and taking place in society today. Next slide, please. So one of the things that I really liked we were able to do is have some reading groups and book clubs. So we purchased books for kids to read and have virtual discussions and learning. This paint and pour was a nice, interesting idea, and that was really for adults. So each year we've done some engagement activities for adult engagement. And so we were able to do some engagement for adults where they'd come in and talk about their trauma and what space they were in and stress relief. And they also shared a glass of wine while they were doing their painting and their artwork. Next slide, please. Another example of the work we were able to do with adults this summer. Next slide, please. So as I shared with you, this is an example of our students that were going through their employment and training workshops, and were able to practice interviewing, practice all of those things that they would have gotten to do. They did have assignments that they would have to complete and be prepared to discuss and talk through as it related to employment and training related activities. Again, just our ability to adopt and adjust on the run or in the moment really has proven to be very successful for us this summer. Next slide, please. So I mentioned the literacy classes that we were able to do for young people. And so here's just some of the testimonials that were submitted either by the students or by parents again, students were able to go and gain some really important information around financial literacy. So we just wanted to share that with you, again, as an example of the work from this summer. Next slide, please. So again, you know, when we're able to start doing some in-person activities and trainings and messaging, one of the things we did do with young people this summer that I really have been appreciative of, and we're still doing more and more of that now, is having young people record and tape messaging as it related to COVID and safety, as it relates to gun violence and activity that's taking place that way. I didn't say earlier, and I meant to, not only have we experienced unprecedented times as it relates to COVID, we've also been through the most significant time in our community as it relates to gun violence. And this is not only adults, it has been young people as well. We've had two of our students involved in our programming that were actually shot. One was killed in the spring of this year. So our ability to reach young people, to help them deal with that trauma, as well as convey messages to each other through social media, through the radio stations, to convey messages of putting the guns down, think about safety. All of those things we're able to do in new and creative ways this summer, again, during these very, very difficult times. Next slides, please. And then again, when we're able to start getting into the parks, you can see that we were conducting activities, sharing a meal with young people. Everyone's wearing their masks for the most part, practicing social distancing. And so all of this was the conditioning and the environment. I think we performed really, really well as a community. I think we helped support some young people going through some really challenging and difficult times. And I just can't thank the Mental Health Board enough for your support and response to us so that we can, again, reach as many young people as possible. This is a tremendous partnership. I hope you all value it as much as we do through the coalition. And the Boys and Girls Club has been a phenomenal leader and partner in this initiative. And so last slide, Lynn, just says thank you. Again, this is an unprecedented year and summer, and I think we still performed pretty well in these challenging and difficult times. And so that's our update and presentation. It's always, Sam and I are always pleased to come and share with you during this time to talk about the work of the summer. It doesn't happen without the support of the Mental Health Board, though. So this is tremendous, and just thank you, thank you, thank you. So I don't know if there's any questions you guys have for Sam or I. Should be glad to.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Tracy. Are there any questions or more information or just comments about the work that you've done? So in this unprecedented times, you guys kept it up. I mean, I was thinking about, you know, if those guys get really good at the gaming, there are scholarships for gaming these days to go to college.
I know.
I mean, one of my students from Parkland got a scholarship, half scholarship to go to Illinois College.
Yeah.
Gaming scholarship. So
I learned how big this is, Joe. Right? My kids are older, so I kind of missed it in this, you know, genre that it is today. And so just unbelievable work by Reverend Comer and his team to be able to have these kids playing competitive games virtually versus being in the gyms. It was really pleasing to see and learn about.
It is tremendous. And I think it's, I mean, my son, who is 13, just plays all the time and say, do your homework. So if you can get a scholarship from it, that's fine too. So any questions or comments?
Elaine,
go ahead.
Thank you for your presentation. Tracy, could you say, can you hear me? I'm not
Yes.
on my usual computer. Can you say a little bit more about the technological access? Did kids have to have computers at home? Did they come to the to the facility to use computers? How did that virtual thing work?
Yeah, so Sam can talk a lot about what that's looked like at the club. Most of the kids in Champaign and Urbana receive Chromebooks from the school districts.
Okay.
And so we were fortunate that way that we didn't have to provide the technology. They were able to get that through the schools. And then, we had, of course, the club and a couple of other places where there were spaces that they could come and work in. And so we were fortunate that way. Sam, I don't know if you want to add any more about your labs and stuff.
Tracy is correct. In addition to the computers, we're fortunate at the club, and it enabled us to kind of be, as Tracy shared, kind of in the forefront with experimenting, having a site for kids to come to who may not have the access at home. And so we have about 25 to 30 computer stations here at the club. But in addition to that, the school districts also provided the Chromebooks, which also was an asset for stations for kids. Tracy mentioned it though, there was the learning curve that took place, and as kids, as he shared, kids are going to do what kids do. And so we really did learn that when, as we got into the process, the adult connection being there, not just to keep them on track, but just that encouragement as to why we're here, working through the problem situations that inevitably arise when they're working on a project, working on an assignment or a project or something, things along those lines. Just having those folks in the room to assist with that, and not just be on their own trying to do that was really a big help.
Okay, thanks.
Julian, I think.
Any questions, comments?
So first, thank you for the presentation. And I think it's amazing that you had that many kids participating at this really difficult time. And I have one question. What is it that kids do when they do? I was wondering about that. Never mind. I don't want to know.
That's why at the club we have a master computer site, so we know what site they're going on when they go on, so that we see, because that's what they do. They venture off into all kinds of things. Dr. Moore?
Yeah, I too want to thank Mr. Parsons and Mr. Banks for this presentation. I've been to the community coalition meetings, and for anyone who hasn't, I think some of you I've seen there from time to time. I think it's a time well worth spent to see how the tentacles that Tracy has throughout this community and who he brings in. I bet that if you go there, you'll be surprised, first of all, at the number of people who are there. It's not just a small gathering, it's a large gathering of people. It's a gathering that goes across Champaign, Urbana, and into the county for that matter. And it's people that on other occasions may not know of each other, but he has brought them together so that they now can operate on behalf of young people. And I would guess one of the things I learned when I was on the school board is that for a bunch of children and a bunch of children that Tracy and Sam deal with, getting them engaged in school is a big difficulty, to have them feel like they belong. And so somehow this program with the Girls and Boys Club with 550 kids may sound large, but it's small enough apparently to make these kids feel like they belong to something, and that they participate in it regularly. I think that both Sam and Tracy have a quality that allows them to work with both adults and children in a way that's beneficial to them. And part of that is exhibited on by the sign that's on Tracy's back wall that says peace. And anybody who knows Tracy knows that that's how he approaches these kinds of situations. And it goes a long way. So I want to thank both of you for the attitude and the atmosphere that you created with these young folks. And it means that our money is being well spent, and we should probably not allow Mr. Banks to think about ever boys and girls.
But he keeps retiring all the time.
Yeah, right.
You have to stop him from even thinking those thoughts.
Well, I know that's well deserved on Tracy's part, but appreciate that, Tom. Your statement really speaks to the partners and the people who are connected with this effort, to tell you the truth. I mean, when you think about the folks, and Tracy shared the time that we went through with George Floyd and the impact it had on kids, and the questions, the reactions, emotions that came out of that, and when it came time to when what our community went through for a few days with the reactions, sometimes natural reactions that people might have when it comes to anger, the people who were connecting with the youth that we work with, helping them to think through, work through emotions, think about the best way to handle anger and feelings and things at that time, were the folks who are a part of this initiative. When you think about Willie Comer, Herb Barnett, Ricky Parks, Tracy himself, our staff and folks here at the Boys and Girls Club, those are the folks who are on the ground with kids. And so when it comes time to help them through those situations, being in a place where we can be available to them and connect with them, that's what it's all about. And really, as Tracy shared, about the importance of the Mental Health Board assisting with allowing all of us to be a part of an effort like this, as well as other efforts. It is so much appreciated, because without that, those connections and that ability to be there close with those kids would be much harder to make happen. So all those people are really, truly what make it happen.
Yeah, I think Mental Board, our ability to work with the person who's got passion about young people and their families is really what separates this initiative. Mm-hmm. And so many of us, I'm not as much with the young people as I would like, really, because I'm dealing with more of the structural, systemic things, but people are really going out of their way to try to set an example for young people and reach them where they are. I can't share with you enough about the traumatic time this has been for everyone, but again, thinking about young people, many who may not have the supports at home to help them navigate and deal with these types of turbulent times. And so to be able to put a caring adult or a support network of peers of young people that are making the right decisions and choices, I just can't tell you how impactful it is. I can't really, put the data there or demonstrate to you directly the impact. I just know we're having a significant impact for the 500 young people that had a safe place to be, a safe person to be able to talk to. Those things are just invaluable for young people in times like this, because we're seeing the other side of the young people who don't have the supports or someone to talk to. They're making the bad choices. They're they're out doing the things that we're wanting to stop as well. So.
Thank you very much. And I think we know that when children and people feel like they belong to something, they make a commitment to change or to get their lives in a place where things happen. And I know the Boys and Girls Club has been that place for quite a few to belong to. There's a young man that I worked with who attended the Boys and Girls Club quite regularly, and he's an immigration lawyer in Texas today. So, and he always goes back to when Jackie Varner was a guy there that kept him on the right track, and there was a history there.
Awesome.
Any other questions or comments about what this was and what we keep trying to do with this? So we're all in our homes or different places trying to figure this thing out.
Let's figure it out, right?
I just wanted to comment and just say, your reputation speak yourselves, Mr. Parsons and Mr. Banks, and the Don and Moyers Boys and Girls Club. But really, just thank you for everything that you guys do in the community. The amount of money that is invested is very efficiently spent on the amount of kids that you have served in the community. So it's very impressive, not just the work you do, but with the resources that you do it with is very impressive. Speaking as a pediatrician that sees children during this tough time, I can tell you personally that children that have been able to have some kind of socialization and some kind of outlet for stress have done significantly better in terms of anxiety, in terms of depression, in terms of ADHD management, being able to cope with their stress that they're dealing with, being able to focus in school, being able to get their work done, and they're just overall doing better than kids who are not in these programs. So thank you, from everyone that I see. I really appreciate everything that you guys do. You guys are doing an amazing job. Keep it up.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, John. Hey, Tracy, thank you.
I think we're leaving your meeting.
Okay, so you guys have a good rest of the evening. Thank you very much for
You guys can go.
Thanks a lot.
wonderful presentation.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you. Okay. What next?
Do you want
So
to see the other?
utilization summaries sounds like so much fun compared to where we are.
This is very exciting,
Yeah,
but
yes it is.
even more exciting than this, I think we've developed this format because it's very brief, so it can be shared with the public pretty easily. It's not as exciting what you find if you go to that application website, CCMHB.org, and look at the performance outcome reports. That is the real stuff. That's the work that the agencies submit at the end of the year that goes into some detail about which outcomes they were tracking and then what happened. And some of them are really quite good and some are just basic information, but it's a lot. They're like 300 some pages. So as exciting as this document is, I highly suggest looking at the other one.
The 300 pages?
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing because you all have this in the board packet.
Yeah. So as we go through are there any questions or comments about utilization and what we are doing and how we're spending it?
Yeah.
Elaine?
Well, I just want to say, I was looking at the numbers and some of them, the projected and what actually happened are fairly close and some are really way off, really different. And I expect COVID has a lot to do with that. So I was just thinking going forward, when we come into the next funding cycle, I assume that something about COVID is going to be built into that, or we should think about that, you know, to give us, Lynn's nodding like, yes, we've already thought of that. But I could kind of assume that some of the numbers went way down as far as contacts, service, you know, contacts, that kind of thing, because of COVID. And then others just ballooned in terms of who they were able to reach. And I'm very interested in how COVID has affected those numbers. So I would like to see that, since it doesn't seem to ever be going away, to somehow be built into our deliberations as we go forward. You know, how people are, how agencies are adjusting, what they've learned this first year in terms of outreach and so on. That's my general comment.
It's I think COVID has changed everything, and I think we probably wouldn't know the results of how COVID has affected this year for the next maybe 5 or 10 years before we really see what educationally, socially, emotionally, the children or the adults were affected by this. But I think we're finding out, because I every day at home I see two young men dealing with it very differently. So
yeah, I just would like to see it recognized in our process. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. So I think you're right, but sometimes the effects on the numbers are maybe complicated or indirect. So, you know, a lot of organizations are still dealing with workforce retention, which got a lot harder with COVID. So it isn't even always about being able to deliver the services safely. It's about having people on staff to deliver them. So I think the agencies may be able to provide us with more insight if we ask the questions. So your point is well taken.
Oh, Tom. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Tom.
I don't know. I say this so often, so I don't know if I've already said it to the board before, but let me take a shot at it nonetheless, and then can cut me off if I have. But it's related to Elaine's comment, because the thing that COVID has impressed upon me more, I mean, I think I've always known this, but it impressed upon me more than ever, is that the behavioral health that we concern ourselves with, while there may be some pathological concerns that we should address, this made it very clear to me that it's behavioral health, that behavioral health is a dependent variable. Something else happens to bring it to the fore. And I think that if without this COVID, we may have continued to treat mental health the same way we always, but there is no question that this has increased the concerns, people's health, physical and mental for that matter, and it has come from somewhere other than them. This is not their consequence of their genetics. And so if I've said it before, I'm sorry, but I think I just want to continue to make that point, that the work we do has to be directed as, what are the things that are impacting people's behavioral health?
Thanks, definitely.
You mean that COVID is magnifying other factors?
At least that.
Okay.
So any questions or comments? Go ahead, Julian.
I'm not sure if this is the moment to ask about this or not. I'm not sure what we're talking about at the moment. We're not being specific to these programs at the moment. We're talking about a general effect. It just reminds me that I just read in the paper, I'm sure you all saw, or maybe you all just know, that the Champaign-Urbana Public Health Board as, I'm not sure how to phrase it. What did they say? They are passing a resolution concerning the effect of racism on public health. It occurred to me when I've been critical of the Public Health District Board for some time, although I think they're doing an excellent job on the COVID-related activities now, and I've been very impressed by that. But this particular policy statement they're making, and maybe an action statement, if it is pointless if it doesn't have implications for what they do, it struck me when I read it that what's the matter with us? Why don't we have a resolution that says that racism is a major mental health problem, or do we have one?
Please join me at the NACBID conference, November 9 and 10, which is all about racism and mental health. And I'm one of the panelists, and the speaker that I'm hosting is the person who authored the new Social Work Grand Challenge to eradicate racism. And then on November 12th, for the first meeting of the Healthy Counties Advisory Board of NACO, whose goal this whole year is declaring racism as a public health crisis. So we're doing it in the mental health conference and then in the NACO conference.
So my request was going to be that the board ask you to draw up a resolution for this board so that the Champaign County Mental Health Board.
So I would like to do that using the technical tools provided at those events so that it's, you know, there are a lot of experts participating in that with us, and I would love it if y'all would join me for that. So to make sure that I'm getting it right, because I'm concerned that people have expressed is that these are hollow declarations and they can make things worse for people. So we'll get some technical support for how to avoid a meaningless declaration.
Well, I'm glad you're looking at how to do it. I'm just suggesting that the board join you and that you give us some leadership on that domain, and we can review it and think about it. And I can't see how it makes things worse, but I'm happy to learn how it would make it worse.
So, Julian, I think though the conversation has started. I think we are having that conversation, and we hope that after this meetings in the next couple of weeks, we can make those part declaration, maybe not by the end of this year, but at least at the beginning of this upcoming year, that we could, as a board, hopefully come together and make that statement that it is a mental health issue, and we are part of the solution rather than just saying wringing our hands.
So I could work that into our plans for January.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and yes, the election is going to take some oxygen out of a lot of what we're doing, but we have to still address the issues that COVID has made clear to us. That it's not just it's racism, but it's also we have a very classist society, and mental health falls into that realm also. Yes, Tom.
I'd like for us to think, I mean, I agree 100% with Julian, but I'd also like for us to think that regardless of the election, we have a task to do. And whether or not the people in Washington want to be on board with it, they can go do something to themselves. We have a task that we're going to follow, no matter who is down there in Washington, D.C. And I don't think we should allow that to interfere with who we are and where we're going.
True story.
I have been on a couple of webinars since that problematic executive order where the state of Illinois is indicating, you know, that it's not changing its direction with regard to racism and racial disparities. So that's good. At least the state of Illinois is still in the fight.
It's still on board.
Well, I gave Lynn a copy of a statement that came from, I think, an excellent statement from NYU's, the Dean of the College of Applied Psychology and Education at NYU put together a statement directly addressing the Trump administration's statement wanting to shut down anti-racism training and similar sorts of things. And I think that's the kind of stance we should take, is that in fact, I think we ought to maybe think about including in our priorities now, or we do it implicitly. I'm quite aware that we're sensitive to those issues, but I think we might want to start including in our statement as a priority that the sort of training that would be useful to do to take on anti-racism learning in our community. So anyway, I don't think I'm saying something that's controversial on this board. I just think we ought to think about doing it in some formal way. It feels especially important to me when the federal government, who does not have any control over our county, in this regard anyway, it just seems important to me that we take a formal position on that kind of matter, so that people at least understand that their local government, what their local government's position is from an organization like a mental health board. So I was happy, I'm complimenting the public health department, and I hope we'll also take it on.
So in the current draft of the priorities document, do you feel that the new sections related to racism and racial trauma are not like gelling enough, that it needs to be a new priority category instead, or in addition to?
Well, I think we ought to discuss it in some way and think about how it can translate. I was thinking of how to go from abstract to concrete. So one way that we seem to operate is we have a domain and we say we look for programs that fit explicitly in that domain. So maybe we ought to have an explicit domain open to funding for programs that are trainings in anti-racism, or however we want. You get my general point here, is to move from the abstract to the concrete and have it reflected in what we support with dollars.
We were focusing on the overarching considerations, so that it would be basically like expected of everything.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I'm just saying, in addition to that, it would be nice if we actually have it come down to the concrete. I don't know how else to say it, because I think the criticism you were just referring to, which I have had of every organization now, Walmart has anti-racism statements. I mean, there's an anti-racism, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm just saying those become meaningless unless they have concrete actions tied to them. So maybe we ought to think about how to encourage some concrete actions that emphasize that.
So what I hear you saying is that, yes, let's make a statement and say, what are the steps that each organization will take to mitigate this? Say, what's your anti-racism part of your larger organization?
I honestly don't know what to say at the point at which I want to reach. I'd like to have I'd like to have some brainstorming around what we might suggest or how we might make it concrete, or help our local, the things that we fund, to have that as a concrete part of what we're funding. Sometimes I think it may be good to have an explicit program of that sort. Sometimes it'll have to do with embedding it in in programs that do other things. So it could be at both types of programming, I think, specific and also built into the other things that people are doing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Elaine?
Maybe Chandra can give us some ideas also about, because I think we have the cultural and linguistic literacy.
Right.
But you seem to be talking about A, founding new explicit programs, perhaps, and B, maybe sharpening that initiative more
I
than
agree.
it is now, not just a kind of educational check and be sure people, agencies are not transgressing, but actually more active. That's what I'm hearing from you. I don't know.
No, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Yes.
Okay.
I do think that it requires a some kind of meeting and brainstorm, because one of the things that comes to my mind as you guys have been talking is, are we going to have programs about housing, healthcare, employment, education, you know, and sort of what we just did listening to Sam and Tracy, that has some of those qualities in it. Now, I don't know if those kids will be able, if they will do something in regard to racism, but hopefully they're being prepared how to live in this society and they can overcome the effects of that. But it seems to me that we need a way to sit down and talk about where do we want to go, because there's a lot of places I think that hit on or that trigger behavior as a result of racism. We want to do this methodically, I think.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
Lynn?
my plan is to bring you a final draft of funding priorities in November. So it's not exactly, I don't know, we could probably schedule another study session, have a discussion, or you could just maybe share ideas with me through email. And you have the draft. I was trying to build these things, both the case for programs specifically addressing racism and racial trauma, and there is some language about that, but it's not as sharply focused as you're talking about, and also the case for overarching considerations which more clearly address these issues. That's all in there. It just might not be focused enough, and it might also be missing the mark of the kind of programs that you'd like to see, which may warrant a whole new priority category. So if it's possible to make those improvements within the next couple of weeks, we need to finalize a draft on November 10 in order to bring to you. We can also drag this out and work on it in December, but in December you have hopefully a study session on cultural competence.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
I mean, so this is all related, but I appreciate the desire to do a deeper dive into this. So,
and my feeling is that this is not something that requires or that even benefits from thinking that we'll do this one time and then there'll be a thing and that'll be that. It's more like the kind of thing that we should pay attention to, get started on, do what we can now, and keep it on our agenda as something to work at. I mean, we're not going, even if we had the most brilliant thoughts ever, we're not going to figure out, the ultimate solution to the problem of racism and mental health, but we ought to be engaged in it. As a mental health board, it ought to be something that we're thinking about on a regular basis. So we should be open and flexible and encourage other people to come in and give us ideas and help to create a conversation in our community about it. There's plenty of people in this community who know a lot more than I do about the details of things like anti-racist training. So, what's an anti-racist agenda look like for a mental health organization? Well, I think there's things out there, and I can think of things that are said that people are writing, but it's less about us having, we know the right thing to do here, now just do this. I think it's more about putting these on our agenda, creating a conversation among ourselves, inviting the agencies and the people that we work with, that we help to fund. I bet they have tons of things they'd like to do about it. Maybe we can help. Maybe some of our funds ought to go to help them do things they want to do that I don't know about.
Right, I think that's beautiful. Like if we just open it, we might find that there are agencies ready to do that. I put something into the chat. I don't know if you can all see it. This is something that they're doing in Michigan statewide, an anti-racist effort in Michigan. And I also just want to say that I think some of the anti-racism trainings which are available are not helpful, are sort of do look like a cash cow. So I think we should be discriminating in which
Oh, yeah.
which models, right, like are vetted.
Oh, yeah.
This,
Oh, definitely.
I don't know what I think about this 21-day challenge. I've read a number of these, but this is what Michigan is doing the Michigan mental health system is taking on that. And
The
that's
state of Michigan, mental health, the whole state.
the Community Mental Health Association, which is there are counties all over Michigan who are part of that network, and they're doing this in their communities. They'll be talking about that during the conference that's coming up on they're talking on November 10. So it's nice because it exists, and if you like it, and if you think those resources are good, then maybe like that's not so hard to pick that up as a strategy. But I do think that I like what you're saying about like being open to multiple strategies, and we might find that there are people ready to do this in Champaign County. But I also want to remind you, and this is something that Chandra says to me constantly, and she had to leave so she can't say it, so I'll say it to you. Remember that you are also very far ahead in some ways. You all have been working on this for 20 years. And some of the things that you've done are a model for other communities. So it's, the fact that we haven't eradicated racism in Champaign County is unfortunate, but the intention is here, and some excellent groundwork has already been laid by you.
I'm a little reluctant to mention this because I don't want to appear to be comparing apples and oranges, but it has occurred to me often listening to discussions about racism that there are many points of contact with the way people with disabilities are treated. My family has been harassed by the police because we have a son with disabilities. I've been followed by a police car across town with his right on my bumper because of that. Another story, but it's a place for us to look in terms of our conversation about the strategies that people with disabilities have used, disability groups have used to bring attention to the kind of the kind of things that have happened to them. So I just put that out there because
yeah, I mean there's a
group that we all that has the disabilities board. We might find that talking about these strategies about prejudice would be helpful.
Yeah, the strategies with prejudice and mental health and the DD world, like the guy that what's going on in Philadelphia, they called for an ambulance and the police showed up and their son is dead. And in New York State was the guy who was naked on the street in New York was mentally ill. The police were called and he ended up dead. And I think based on what you're saying, I mean, it's a global training anti-racism. We have to go not just the racism issue, but also mental health. It comes together, and for people of color, it comes together almost in a deadly way.
Yeah, I mean it's like anti-otherism. I don't know.
Yes.
What's a big enough tent,
Yeah.
But when you're identified as the other, then you're at risk.
Yeah.
It's basically learning empathy, and not all of us are empathetic. People are sympathetic where you have pity for others, but not all of us are empathetic. And it's hard to create a bigger circle of what is your community. And the one reassuring thing I see though is every subsequent generation has the bigger circle of who is in their community. So I'm hopeful for the future, but it's painful sometimes just seeing how slow progress moves when we want it to move so much faster than it is. And, you know, with people who don't have empathy, who are in positions of power, whether they are business owners or medical professionals or teachers or politicians or people in government or police officers, when they don't have empathy, then that prejudice leads to harm. And, you know, and it's very evident in our society, whether that's racism or misogyny or discrimination based on disability or sexual orientation. So it's not, obviously if there was an easy solution, it would have already been done. So teaching people empathy, I think, is something that, you know, if racism and you know, sexism and otherism can be taught, it can be untaught. So I'd be happy to, you know, keep brainstorming with everybody, and, you know, hopefully we can find groups in town that are willing to take on some of these challenges.
Thank you. Any other comments? It's a good conversation, and we'll keep the conversation going, and hopefully, Layton, go ahead.
So we all, because we work, so much of our work is now at home. I think all of us have been on a lot more webinars and educational opportunities and reading a lot more stuff. And the most, so lots and lots of stuff about racism and mental health and racial disparities in healthcare. The most painful one that I saw was hosted by PsychU. It was a group of psychiatrists who call themselves SPAR, 7 Psychiatrists Against Racism, and just like their experience of this is so raw, and partly because there are so few Black psychiatrists practicing. So they were talking about everything from like microaggressions with their practice, even from their patients, and just like how, like just, I mean, stuff that I think we hear about in our trainings, and, you know, Chandra helps us with some of this with cultural competence training, but like just in the medical practice, how really destructive some of these things are. And, you know, it was really hard not to cry. Anyway, just psychiatrists, like they, you know, they're pretty key to our system, and they're dealing with racism within their own practice.
Yeah, racism in medicine. I mean, not just psychiatry, I mean, medicine as a whole.
Exactly. It's really interesting to learn about what's going on in that world with regard to anti-racism training. So, you know, I do think there's a lot to be learned here and to implement.
Yeah, thank you. So any other comments? Say any board announcements?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay. Who seconded that? Okay, Elaine seconds. Yes, we are adjourned. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and see you next month.
Stay safe, everyone.
Will do. Take care.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for your interesting thoughts.
Yes.